Hello, everyone. Hey, hi, hello, I want to. So, thank you all for being here. I wanted, before we see some extracts from my films, I wanted maybe to talk a little bit about how we are making films in Kosovo now, and to give you a little bit of context of history of filmmaking in Kosovo, which is quite recent as a lot of other things in our country, and then after we see the sequences of my films, then we can continue and talk and have some sort of Q&A and have more interesting discussion maybe. Well, as I suppose most of you know, Kosovo is a country that it's one of the it used to be like the youngest country in the world, but I think now is the youngest maybe in Europe or something. We kind of had declared the independence 11 years from now, so it's a very new country. But it doesn't mean that the history of our country is as new as the country, of course. So, probably most of you know that Kosovo used to belong in ex-Yugoslavia, or maybe I'm bothering you with the context. But Kosovo used to be as a part of Yugoslavia, and I mean it was left it was one of the most undeveloped parts of Yugoslavia. So let's say that the schools in Albania, Kosovo is populated with Albanians mostly, and so are the other countries around that, that surround Kosovo. There are a lot of Albanians out of the borders as well. So yeah, even though we are known in Balkans to have wars all the time, we always had wars. That's what we do best, I think. And but for the rest of the countries, I mean, we had those. For example, the Ottoman Empire for 500 years and etc. That was in the whole country, but then the other nations, they still had some time to develop when those big empires went. Whereas us in Kosovo and Albanians in general, they were always they continued the war, because then the neighboring countries saw this as an opportunity because we were, I guess, weaker, I don't know. So the war in Kosovo and in Albania and in Albanian countries never ended. So this left us undeveloped, I think. And we started schools in Albanian language in Kosovo after the World War II. But then the high education started really, really later on in the 70s. So I mean, you can imagine how far, I don't know, we are far quite back. We don't have a lot of history in this manner. I don't know, the first television that was opened in Kosovo was in the 70s as well. And we only have about 10 years of progress in the country, and then came the 10 years of this era pre-war, pre-99 war, that nothing happened in the country. Everything was shut down and nothing. So the film also starts quite late. I believe it started with the radio television that opened, basically. So we had films that were done before the war, were films that were done really good by professionals, because we were asking people from abroad to come and work in as cameraman or as camera operator, etc. But it was really late compared to the rest of the world, and we had few really good directors. I want to mention one in particular, because maybe it's interesting also for the young audience here, because I think the best director that we had in the pre-war era was Besim Sahaciu, who is the grandfather of the singer Rita Ora, and he was yeah, he was one of the people that really, I think, inspired a lot of people to make films afterwards. But yeah, so then we had like in the 90s, there was not even one film that was made, nothing was working, it was, yeah, nothing was happening. So after the war ended, we kind of started to make the first films, and the real thing started to happen after the declaration of independence. Why? I don't know. Let's say. Also, it's important to say. Oh, I'm trying to tell that we don't have film history. We're trying to make one, but like. We start, like the school, for example, the film school started only after the war, so in 99-2000. And even now, the film school doesn't give you all the tools that you need to make a film, because they make film directors, but we don't have a school for camera, or for editing, or for producer, or for anything that other than directing and acting. And but after the war, the success, let's say that now, because I need to say this, that now, in nowadays, the film industry in Kosovo is at its best. We hope that it is going to be even better, but knowing the fact that we started really late and we're trying to walk these gigantic steps to be in step with the world. So I think we're doing pretty good now. But all of this development couldn't have happened with a lot of different actors that worked in film industry in Kosovo. And this, like, the school is the one that did the least in Kosovo. The other things, like non-formal school, like film festivals, DocuFest was the first festival that started in Kosovo, and they're doing like a lot of other things. It started by bringing films and watching films in Kosovo, because, for example, if you live in Kosovo, it's very hard to find independent films to watch, because all we get to see in cinemas are like these big blockbuster films that then, I don't know, we don't know how to make films or how to make stories, because we kind of were trying to make Hollywood films with no money in a country that we didn't even know how to make films in the first place, so it was so wrong. And then, I mean, I think these other entities, for example, DocuFest, that started to bring films, and I mean, we started to see films in Kosovo, different films. We could see what the world was seeing somehow in documentary films. And then, but they were not doing only this. It started with this, but then they were doing, for example, different non-formal schools, and they were finding new talents and bringing people to, I don't know, like really working a lot. So I think this, and in the other hand, later on, but it's not only DocuFest, it's also, for example, for film, feature film, there is Prefest in Pristina, another film festival that are doing a lot about, for industry, film industry in Kosovo. But so these individuals that were working, in the, how do you say, like non-governmental organizations that were working in this field really helps change the game, because then after the independence, our film center needed to change, because before that it was kind of captivated by the old generation, and we had some things in law that made it possible only for the older generation to make films, because in our law it was considered, for example, a film only something that was made in celluloid, and I mean that is, we're not in that era anymore, a long time ago. So like they then changed some things, and then film was considered anything that was film, and then the younger generation got the chance to make films, and more money was put in the films, and then when more money was put in films, more films were being made, and we were learning how to make films. So all this happened in, I don't know, at once. So, will you excuse me? Oh yeah. Yeah, so this is just actually to tell you the history that, I don't know, we have a very rich cultural place, but we didn't do any films, and you were not able to see a lot of films from our country until now. I think now it started to open up, and I'm really, really happy. But I wanted to focus now about something very interesting that happened in this development of film in film industry in Kosovo. Is that I'm going to start by telling something maybe about myself, because let's say in my teen years I was doing music, and I was doing some hip hop music. I had a band with 3 girls, and that we were telling stories in our way. So yeah, I really, why I'm mentioning this, it's mostly because my next project is going to be about that era and about something similar, and it's going to be a musical. So I'm working on those things, and I have to talk about them as well. But so I wanted to do something in film when I wanted to go and study. So there was no film at that time, because I started studying in 98, I think 97, 98, a few years before the war. So there was only theater directing, and I wanted to get into that school because I wanted to tell stories and I wanted to become a director. So I went and talked to a professor, and I kind of showed him my work and asked him, does he think that I'm okay to apply or good enough, or am I just wasting my time or something like this? And then the professor said that you shouldn't go to school for directing, because this is not a profession for girls, for women. And he was kind of giving me an example of this woman that was in school 2 years prior to, 2 years ago, and then she left school because she got married, and sort of everybody would do the same for him. And I was young, and I was trying to convince him that I would never get married, but that didn't really work out. But what happened at that moment is that they decided not to open it for directing at all that year, so they opened something for writing, and writing was better for me because I was a woman, I could write at my home. And I went in school for drama, playwright. So starting from this, to now that we have our film fund gives almost 50% of its funds to films that are directed, written, or produced by women. It's a big number. That it's much bigger than in the rest of the world, from what I heard of. And I don't know, how did we get here? I was asking myself, and I was trying to figure it out. I mean, because we are a super patriarchal society, we don't give rights to women like this, we don't give money to them like this or something. But then I think that this is mostly, I mean, my explanation of this is because if you make films in Kosovo, you don't earn money, and men are more where money is. So why? But how did I get to this? Is because I was working in a publicity agency, agency that does reclame. Marketing. Oh my God, marketing agency. I don't even know where I worked. And we were like 2 in-house directors there. One, it was me, and another one, my colleague, male colleague, and I had more wins and more trophies on film than he did, but still they wouldn't let, I was begging to give me work to work, and they wouldn't give me any work, and they were overloading my colleague with work, and he was not happy with it either. He wanted to share the work with me, but they were not kind of giving me the chance. So they put me, and I did my best to send them my films and tell them, listen, I do this and I do that, and they just didn't really care. And so they sent me to work in a cooking show. But it was good because I learned how to cook. I'm grateful for that. But that was not my idea when I went to work in this marketing agency, for example. So I was thinking about these things because later on also I wanted to get involved in other TV serials or things that can also bring me money. But it was quite difficult and our doors were quite shut. So, because in film there was not a lot of money. I think we had this opportunity, but the way I see this, I see that money is going to start to come in for us, and it's going to start to come in sweeter than for them because we're going to get royalties from our films, and they're going to have to work, to continue work to get paid in their marketing. No, but I really see a future here in the film industry in Kosovo, and I think this is the industry where we as women have, we are good positioned at this moment, and we are telling our stories that we couldn't tell for so long, and I am so happy, and we are waiting for some other films from other women film directors to come out very soon that are very impressive. And I know that, just go and watch when you see a film from Kosovo that was made by women, because it's going to be good. I know two, I'm waiting for two of them. The third one, I'm waiting for a lot of them. Films like this to come. But yeah, it's interesting to know, because like 5 years ago, I was the first woman that received a fund for a feature film in Kosovo. 6 years ago, sorry. And yeah, so a lot of things have happened very, very fast, and I'm very glad things happen this way for us. Yeah, this is about it for our Kosovo in the film industry. Another thing is that now we are very happy because we can make a lot of films with people that are only from Kosovo. I think now we don't need to bring professionals from outside because we don't have anybody in Kosovo. But now if we bring somebody from outside, we bring it because of the specific things that person does, but not because we don't have anyone at all in our country, which was the case before. So yeah, if you want to make films cheap and good and everything, yeah, come to Kosovo. We know how to do films now. Yeah. I don't know if you have any questions or something we can discuss, and then I would like to show some extracts of my films, and then we can talk about more specific things maybe.
So now we're going to have the possibility to talk about your film and about your work, and I would like to start with a compliment. This movie we just have seen is much longer, and I had the possibility to watch it, and your movie had the best cut I have ever seen in the last years, because there was a scene when she went back to the past of these two young guys when they got closer, and the scene starts with the guys are lying in their bed and they get closer and they start having sex. And then she made a cut, and I just thought it's another angle of the sex scene. But actually it wasn't just another angle, it was in a totally different time. It was shortly before where we started watching this scene between these two guys. And the way how you jumped in another time and you jump back, it's fascinating for me. So.
Oh, thanks a lot. It means a lot to me that you're saying this, because I kind of I went with my gut feeling against all the other people around that were working in the film, because I put some moments of flashbacks in the film, and this was something that was a big no-no for me, because of what I learned at school, I suppose, that putting flashbacks is so bad and blah blah, I don't know what. So I kind of went with that prejudgment. But then I was struggling a lot actually with making the story of this film, because I wanted to find a way to tell this story as if I studied myself and other people telling stories, and I was kind of seeing those little things that when you say something, I say, yeah, I'm doing this because back then I was doing that, but now I'm doing this, and etc. So I don't know, when you tell a story like this orally, it's no problem. But always in film, it was seen like something very explanatory or something. So I tried to find a way to have that discourse of narration in the film, and I'm glad that you liked it, because I'm just glad that you liked it.
Yeah, because what I liked it about it is that I was not taken by hand, so now you have to think this and that, and now I show you how it was back then and how it's now. It was just on me to figure it out, where we are, and as an audience I was challenged, but at the end I was not unsatisfied. I got the story, and this is very important, because a lot of films puts you in a position as an audience that you're stupid, and your films, they don't do that, and this is what I really liked and what I'm thankful for in your films.
Let's continue being thankful. Thank No, I mean it deeply, because when I watch, it means a lot what you're saying, because when I watch films, I hate when it's over-explanatory and when they kind of take the audience for stupid. And I hate that when I see films, so I try to imagine, I don't know, I try to not to do that. I'm glad that you're saying that I didn't somehow.
So maybe we can figure it out how you got to where you are now, because I mean we have young filmmakers in here, and maybe they are interested in how you got your technique and so on. You told me before that you studied theater storytelling, but how did you get to film? Like,
so,
what was your way?
Through war. It always goes through war for us. I was studying in Pristina playwriting, and then the war happened, and I went as refugee in France, where during my stay there as refugee, I started a film school there at the university, not like the famous La Fémis and Les Lumières school, but like I went to the university, and that's when I did my shift. And that was also because since I was writing my stories, every time my scripts were being made into films, I was always very unsatisfied, because apparently I had a very clear and vivid image of what I wanted to say and how that should look. Then, I don't know, when other people were doing it, it just felt that they were, I don't know, it felt like I was feeling bad seeing my words, being put on screen in that way. And I know that is only because of my very clear idea of what I want in film. So this is actually my film education, maybe. How did I shift it to film?
How do we have to imagine the workflow? Like, you see a topic or a subject and you think, yeah, I have to tell that story, or you think there is needed another movie, or how do you get to the topics, to the subjects of your movies?
It's different from story to story. Most of the time, because we don't have a lot of money, so we some films come from somebody. it's different every time. But when you get a story or you hear a story that resonates with you somehow, and you know that you have experienced similar things, or I don't know, then you kind of feel that you want to put your energy and your work and your next years of your life into that story. And I don't know, the themes, maybe what matters the most for me are personal freedoms, maybe. So I don't know, anything that has to do with that, or people that are trying to gain their personal freedoms, or that are experiencing some difficulties into being themselves, or something similar, then it's something that really resonates with me. And everything started from after we gave, it's very interesting. I'm talking a lot.
Yes, do it.
For me, it's interesting because when I went in France as refugee, it was the first time that I was seeing people that were free, careless, carefree, and everything, and I was jealous of them at that time. But then I started to live in that country with people that are not traumatized or something, and then I started to see at those little individual freedoms that people will not have, don't have really. Because up until that time, everything for me was like big, freedom of a country or freedom of something, but nothing individual up until that time. So I think Paris made me see freedom more specifically.
So like you discovered that, was it like that you discovered that French people also have like not all the freedom in social circumstances or relationships? Because the one thing I thought is very it's very your films is the subject about relationships. So the other film I have seen of you was also about the relationship and how it works and how people do it. But sometimes I thought something is missing for me as a Swiss woman who's watching your film. I'm missing a piece of the puzzle because I don't know anything about the social and political circumstances in Kosovo. So where do your films play? In which context?
When I first have an idea about a film or something, the first people that are in mind while I do the film, while I write and make the film, are people that are in this similar situation from the story that I'm telling, for example. So it's very local. So I don't know, I think first of all about those people, then about people in Kosovo, and and then I start to think wider. If it works there, then it should work in the rest of the world, I think, but I'm not really.
But you did the films not for like at the first time for an international audience. You do it for people in Kosovo.
Not at all. For the victims. No, really. For the people that are in the film. For example, I don't know. Yeah, for example, this film I did for the three main characters. For the, I don't know. Like I have them in mind all the time, even because these are real people that exist, maybe not in the way that I put them on screen, but like I know people that live in similar situations, and when I make a film, I try very hard that people that go through similar things don't find my film offending in a way. And find it true, at least.
How did you show that film in Kosovo, and how did the audience react? So how do people react after watching your film?
Well, I actually love this part because this film was shown in cinemas, and it was during the time that it was shown, it was the most watched film in the cinema, and it was full with audience, and always we were told that like 3, 4, 5 people would leave during the sex scene, but the rest stayed and watched the film. And most of the comments were that they were seeing kind of themselves in the mirror, like their society, like it felt like the film is mirroring what they live in everyday life. Like not only the people that are in the same situation as my 3 main characters, but even the others, like the family members or something, they were kind of feeling that it resonates and it's true the way that, it felt true to them, and I'm really happy about that.
And you told that Kosovo is still in a patriarchy system, so how do you get fundings for a film like this? I could imagine that there is still a lot of homophobia and...
Well, this all has to do with the film, with the people that are working in the film center and what the film center in Kosovo is doing. I said that they are doing some really, really good work these last 10 years since independence. And it was not a problem. I know that we were really scared that we would not get funding for this film because of the topic, etc. But Kosovo is very, it's a place where you can find like both extremes. So yeah, even though we are a very closeted society and we don't, there is not even maybe now there is 1 or 2 people that came out as gay, but like it's really closeted. But at the same time, like we had this film was funded by the state, and like we had a problem there was this attack that happened while one magazine was trying to promote number in sexuality. And while they did this promotion, extremist groups came in and like, beat up people and destroyed the venue, etc. So we were really scared for the film. But then what happened is that the international community that is in Kosovo, our politicians really listened to them a lot, and that turned out for the good. A lot of good things have happened because of that. And so we had, like last year, we had the first parade in Pristina, and it was mostly done by people from politics, different ambassadors from big countries of the world, and our politicians were like heading the pride. And then last year was the second one. Less politicians came out this time. More people how do you say? Civil society. From civil society came, and people from the organization. Yeah, like more people count. But what is interesting is that in Balkans, every time that Pride was organized, it was always there was always conflict, and I don't know, things happen. Yeah. But in Kosovo, it didn't. It went peacefully 2 times in a row. So I don't know. We're really like we have both extremes. We have the big patriarchal and the big roots, family roots, etc. But at the same time, we're very conflicted.
So you talked about Kosovo and the states around Kosovo. So did you show your films in Serbia, for example, because you made a film about the return, where a guy is coming back from prison, and did you show this movie outside your country, or was it a conflict of interest for?
So we were supposed to show some parts from a film. This film, The Return, it was shown in Belgrade as well and in other neighboring countries. And this was a film that premiered in Sundance, and it won the Best International for that year. And then it traveled quite a lot, and also in Sarajevo Film Festival, for example. And it's fun. in Sarajevo Film Festival, it got 2 prizes that year, and it went really well. But it's really interesting the way I think what you said about local and that you didn't get the context. I mean that something was missing for you as a Swiss audience. I get that because when for example, both of my films, when I showed them in Sarajevo Film Festival, even though the language was different and they had to understand the film through subtitles, it should have been the same as here, but they were reacting more to a lot of different elements in the film that they get from the fact that we live in the same country and we have like we share same histories, same customs and stuff, so it was tradition. And that was really interesting to see that when we would show the film in the Balkan region, people were getting more layers of the film, whereas when we show the film in Western countries, they are getting a lot of, they are getting, I hope, 1 or 2 layers, but like not those little things that are made only for us.
But is filmmaking in the Balkans something that unites you somehow, or is it more something apolitical? I can't imagine that it's not political, but
filmmaking?
Yes. Do you feel like the different filmmakers from all Balkan countries, do they work together? Do they get to a point where politics doesn't come to?
Oh, there's never politics in art scene. No, it's politicians that are doing whatever they are doing. I mean, we work together, we meet with each other in a lot of places, we go to their festivals, they come to ours, so there has always been communication through arts, and to be honest, there is no problem, there shouldn't be any problem. I mean, the problems are created the way I see them, the problems are created because somebody wants to sell something and somebody is selling. It's all economics and some big hats that want to earn something, and we are the victims that are going in.
Yeah. So I want to come back to your film techniques. I realized that there is almost no not moved camera. It's always like you always go with like an eye of a person. It's very close to the people. We don't have long shots. It's always like very close to their faces, to their hands, to their bodies. How did you get to this aesthetic?
By accident. We don't have money to make films, so I had to find a way how to make a film look okay, even when I didn't have money to make all the scene good. So if we went really close to people, then we could, it was easier to make the film. This was the first thing, but then I wouldn't make a film only because of that, but then it also clicks. It goes with what I'm trying to say in my films. Then most of the time, the characters in my films are longing for freedom, and somehow shooting them in that way, like very close, it kind of gives you sort of claustrophobic feel, and I think it makes you feel connect more with or understand, be more in the shoes of the character, I think.
How do we have to imagine the set when you're shooting? How many people are there when you're shooting the films? Who is with you?
I want to have as little people as possible on the set. But then it's not always possible. But even like always, like for example, my short films, I never had more than 10, 13 people working, including the cast. In this one we had to have a lot more because it was a feature, and we had to have a lot more people. But like a lot of these scenes that we're seeing here, a lot of people that were supposed to work on this, we would send them have coffee and we would just work and they were waiting for another scene or something. A lot of intimate especially intimate scenes, I really hate all the industry behind and all the things that are super cut and say, now you act and now you do this. So I try to make the atmosphere for the actors as closer to what they have in film, I don't know, to what's happening at that moment in the film or at the scene that we're doing. Like in this scene that we saw, the morning scene of the two guys, and also the sex scene or something, we only would have like very minimum strict necessary people. I would also do like script myself or a lot of other things, just so that we don't have a lot of people that can distract the actors.
And how do you find the actors and the people you're working with? Like camera, sound? I'm
a very fidel person. How do you say, like? No, besnik, ja. Besnik?
Treu.
No, fidel.
Treu.
Like treu. Besnike, apo? I'm treu. So I don't change my people.
You always take the same people.
I almost always take the same people. I started with them and they helped me, I don't know, come here and talk to you guys. So I don't change them. I mostly work with the same ones, and sometimes I also use the same actors and people are complaining why and why and why, but I just love working with them, and I see that they have potential to bring a lot of things in the film, and we understand each other, and that is the first and the most important thing when I choose people to work with me. They have to be at the same, to have at least the same or similar views or ideas on the topic, because I also ask them to improvise and to give like more. So
there was one scene in a film of you in The Return where we see a couple in their bed and both are naked and she's just laughing the whole time. He told her how it was in prison and that every little hole they thought they have to fit through to escape, and she's just laughing and you can see her tears, and I thought the people on the set had to feel very confident that you got this scene how it was, because I thought this girl is not laughing as an actor. She's laughing at like from her heart. It was, yeah, and we just could watch 2 minutes.
I love her. This was the idea, because the idea was to make actually that woman is trying to tell her husband when he comes out of the jail, and she told that he was killed completely. He didn't know. So he shows up 2 or 3, 4 years after, and she's trying to tell him that she has another kid in meantime while he was not there, and that kid was a child from rape. From rape, yeah. And I was thinking, how can you drop this? When can you drop this news? I mean, how? So this was really important, and then for me, it felt like if there is laughing, I don't know how you say it, when you laugh and you cannot stop. If we have a scene like that, hysteric laugh, yeah, that puts down the pressure and it makes you feel more at ease, and maybe only after that you could drop the bomb. So, I mean, I was thinking about the character, but then for the film as well.
Yeah, but me as an audience, it was I was watching 2 minutes of her laughing from all of her heart, and for me, somehow I got sad because I thought, what's going on? And yeah, I was impressed that you got this kind of scene that, yeah, looked like very natural laughing. It's not, yeah, it's not easy to get actors.
Yeah, so we had like only two takes of this scene, because it was a very hard scene to make, and yeah, but we only had 2 takes of this one, and you can see those 2 takes. No, you cannot. You saw the 2 takes in the film, and she did it really good, and that's why I like to work with this actress, she's one of the actresses that comes back in my films always, and people say, why do you always work with her? Why don't you? But I love it because she's really good and she takes in the information that you give her and sort of understands it really deeply inside, not only in the mind, but like in the heart, and then kind of has this possibility to bring it as new, as something that is happening for the first time that we never discussed. A lot of people thought that that was just an accident, that film, you know, the laughing scene, etc. But it was something that we talked about and we thought about it a lot. But what helped to make it look real, I think, is the fact that we didn't have a written script. We had like bullet points where we wanted to go. We have to laugh. You have this, you know, like you have to tell this story and you have to tell this story. So what it's difficult to talk about, but like
So you work a lot with improvising actors, or you write everything down?
I used to write everything down and leave nothing to, like very creepy, everything written down. But then, as I said, in Kosovo we don't get to see a lot of films. So I remember the year, in 2009, I saw a film that was done in a style which was called Mamalcore. I didn't know that it existed. It was something similar to New Wave, French New Wave, Italian New Wave. Delete. Yeah, so this kind of improvisation scenes, but then it's the topics and stuff that they say in this Mamalcore style is more not that deep, not deep, but not big problems, not war, not something, but it's like everyday society problems. But I adored the way it was done because you would see people that are true, you know. And I went and I learned how is it done, and I mean they do it in improvisation, and I love to do something like that. And I had the chance then to do it for this film. When this woman tells the man that that she has another child, but the way I did it is that I worked together with both of the actors. We worked the scenes and the history of two of them when they were together, and then when they were separate during the time that they spent separately, I worked their history. We worked it separately. So in the scene, when a woman would say something to the guy, he didn't really know what she was saying, or they didn't really have the information, like all the details and stuff that me and one actor and me and the other actor had. So this is, I think, what brought, like,
discussed it separately. Yes. With both of the actors.
Yes, only the things that they were supposed to go through together in the film, we discussed them together.
So now I would like to open up the discussion to the audience, and if you have questions, we're very pleased if you ask them, and I will repeat them if we can't hear it, everyone, because we don't have another microphone. So, is there a question out of the audience to her work, her history, or the film we have seen?
So something a bit more general. Like you mentioned in the beginning that there was a law that only a celluloid film is a real film, and when we were in prison ourselves we saw like 2 red cinema cameras. So we wanted to ask, how is like the technical stuff, how modern are like the cameras and the setup?
So to repeat the question that everyone can hear, he's wondering about the cameras and the stuff you have to film. With what are you filming?
Yeah, so even though in the law was saying that you need to have everything to be considered a film, it needs to be made on celluloid. We didn't really have a lot of film cameras. We had one, I think, in the whole Kosovo, but because we didn't use it. I mean, why would somebody buy an equipment that is so expensive when nobody uses it? So, but we have, we have everything. We have all the I think we have quite all the cameras that exist in the market now, and people are using them and are renting them, and it's rentable. I think it's rentable.
But you don't have film studios or something, or you do?
What do you mean by film studios?
So when I saw your movies, I thought it was filmed in a usual flat, for example.
Oh yeah, of course it's filmed in usual flat. we don't have film studios in Kosovo at all, but we have it's very easy. It's still very easy in Kosovo. I'm making some promotion of my country. It's very easy to film. For example, if you want to get a permission to film somewhere or something, it's very easily done. You can get the permission, and you will not have to spend more money to buy this permission. You know, if you have to film something outside, even the police will come and assist you without you having to pay them at all. So it's really cheap in this matter. But like everything, we usually use, we don't have studios, but we use like the real locations. And a lot of the we use the real locations. For example, the scene that we saw, the morning scene, that was done in my flat. Yeah, so we used like another scene in my sister's flat, another one in that, so it was friends. Yeah.
And I'm interested in the sound because did you take the sound from the set, or did you did it afterwards?
Yeah, most of the sound was taken in the set, most of it. But then, of course, we had to do some additional recordings for some scenes that were not really good, but like really small things, super small. But most of it was done in the set, because we try not to spend money. We don't have a lot of it, so we try to do everything we can while we're in the set.
When we were at the money, what do you have to do to get the fundings? So are there, like, do you have a list that you have to fill in?
Oh, it's very easy, because you don't have a lot of places where you can ask for money. In Kosovo, you have only the film centers, so you go there, apply with your script and with your project, and if they like it, if the jury likes it, then your project will pass, and then you will have to try and find other co-productions, because most of the films actually in Kosovo are made in co-production, mostly with the neighboring countries, but also with France, Germany, and etc. So this is also one of the ways how we improved our filmmaking, through making co-productions and working with countries that have the savoir-faire, that know how to do.
Yeah, know how to do.
Yeah.
Is there another question out of the audience? Yes.
It's not a question, it's rather a compliment. I would like to thank you and congratulate you.
Oh, thank you so
on
much.
the film extracts we saw and your explanations. I think sometimes you were quite a bit defensive, like when you talked about the reception in Sarajevo. I'm not sure whether people there see more layers in your film than we see here. We don't know this, we don't have the same knowledge about what you're showing, but you gave the key word yourself, and that's intimacy. Your scenes are right, your scenes, they work. And I remember a sentence by Orson Welles, the great American film director, and he said, in film, detail is the most important thing. The big things take care of themselves. Yeah. And your details are correct. So
Thank
please
so
carry
much.
on. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks.
That was a very nice statement. I can support that. Is there another question out of the audience, or a statement?
You said in the beginning that you learned at school that flashbacks is a bad thing. I think it's the other way around. Can you explain it a little bit, why the school said that's not?
Yeah. So when I did my film school in Pristina, when we were writing scripts and etc., the teacher that was given this lecture, he didn't like flashbacks. So he was super like against them. And somehow without really thinking, I went on thinking as he did because I admired his work and what he did, my professor. And then another, and then when I went to France also, I haven't seen a professor talk about a flashback and not say bad things about it, really. I mean, always they are, this film is good, but they have these flashbacks, I don't like them, etc. So I kind of, and I don't know, then for me, I think I started to open up my mind a little bit when I started to watch TV series, because they are very creative and they're very good lately. And it was in particular one, The Transparent actually, and the way they use the flashbacks and then just not really to explain something, but it's like a part of, but you also explain it's everything together, and kind of gave me the strength to think about putting maybe flashbacks in film, and I mean, why should it be wrong?
And maybe in addition to that, your flashbacks aren't just flashbacks. It's not like you can see that people think back. It's like you have a cut, and the first seconds of the new scene or the new setting, you think the story is going on, and you don't realize that it's back. So this is the thing that's...
Yeah. I didn't want to give any idea that something is changing, you know, like, I don't know, change the colors or do something to tell that we're passing. So I just wanted to tell, like when we talk, when I say I experience something, I don't change really my voice. I continue talking in the same manner. So I kind of wanted to do the same thing with the film.
And you made it.
Oh, thank you.
Is there another question or a statement? If not, I'm very thankful that you have been here and you're still here for today, and I hope you have enjoyed the masterclass with Blerta. And yeah, I hope we will meet again and have the possibility to watch your movies here in Switzerland as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very pleased to be here, and yeah, I hope you will see my films, and everybody will lead a happy life. Thank you.